Social projection, a concept in social psychology, is a phenomenon where an individual's expectations of others' attitudes or behaviors are influenced by their own. This occurs in a myriad of settings and relationships, from personal to group goings. On the level to which this process happens is affected by how society categorizes individuals based on psychological principles of both cognition and motivation. As per cognitive theories, social projection works as a mental shortcut, while motivational theories point to it as a way for individuals to feel a sense of kinship with others. Contemporary study delves further into how social projection and self-stereotyping affect how individuals perceive others. This concept dates back to 1924 when it was introduced by Floyd Allport. It refers to the creation of perceived characteristics of a person or a group using oneself as a benchmark. This idea spurred intrigue into how perceptions about groups were formed sans comprehensive information about them. This modern viewpoint contrasts with the previous social comparison theory by recognizing that the formation of consensus is subliminal rather than blatant. Furthermore, this process transpires even without having full knowledge about the absolute consensus of the person or group in question. The false consensus effect, documented by Ross, Green, and House in 1977, reignited this exploration as it highlighted how people project their own behaviors and beliefs onto others. Many have since found links between this phenomenon and the spreading of attitudes, impressions, and beliefs in diverse social settings. Present studies focus on the automaticity of social projection, its distinction from self-stereotyping, and the elements that control it. Overall, social projection is a resilient occurrence. Even when individuals are made explicitly aware of it, it still colors their judgment of others. Research proves its consistent effects across different social scenarios. For social projection to materialize, an individual must see similarities with the other person or group. The personal assessment of the violence also influences the degree of social projection. Studies show that when individuals view others positively, they're more likely to project their thoughts or beliefs onto them nonetheless. The potency of this phenomenon varies between projecting onto familiar groups or unfamiliar ones. Research indicates that individuals often project their own beliefs and behaviors onto others, a phenomenon recognized as social projection. American studies show that people who hold extreme political opinions believe others also hold such polarized views. This is also seen in how we gauge others' intentions and behaviors based on our own performance. Successful individuals expect others to also succeed, while those facing failure assume the same for others. Social projection is not limited to assumptions about success and failure. Those engaging in cooperative efforts, for example, predict similar behavior in their peers. This projection appears in both competition and learning environments and applies to both explicit and implicit goals. Psychologists suggest that this human tendency to believe others will act as we do promotes group cohesiveness and cooperation. This projection not only occurs at an individual level, but also in group contexts. However, a meta-analysis shows stronger effects of projection within in-groups where individuals attribute features of their own group to a larger superordinate group, contributing to in-group favoritism and differentiation. Michael Wenzel and Amelie Mumenday's in-group projection model explains how this process works. They argue that individuals relate their in-group to other groups using a common superordinate group identity as a reference point. This projection depends on the in-group's perception. When seen positively, in-group projection intensifies. But if viewed negatively, individuals revert to personal attributes when prescribing traits to others. In essence, individuals construct their world by reflecting their own experiences and expectations on others. Research suggests that social projection, the psychological phenomenon where individuals ascribe their own beliefs or traits to others, is influenced by various factors. Social categorization, the process whereby individuals classify themselves and others into various social groups, plays a key role in this process. The perceived hierarchy within these groups can significantly affect social projection. Typically, members of majority groups underestimate their influence, while those in minority groups overestimate their shared beliefs. Furthermore, these effects are moderated by the individual's membership within the evaluated group, indicating that projection and stereotyping often occur within a person's own social circle. There is a link between individuals' ability to project onto out-groups, a social group with which an individual doesn't identify, and the imagined interactions they have with members of these groups. Some studies conducted using minimal group paradigms, experiments that create novel and arbitrary groups, found the strongest social projections within clearly demarcated in groups. These effects were moderately present within groups featuring varying relevant characteristics and were weakest within clearly identified outgroups. Changes in an individual's social categorization also appear to influence social projection. It was found that when individuals recategorized into new groups, they only projected onto the most recent group and didn't cast their projection on previous in-groups. The psychological reasons behind social projection suggest either cognitive or motivational angles. Those favoring the cognitive perspective consider it to be an automatic cognitive shortcut based on comparing oneself to the projection target. On the contrary, the motivational viewpoint suggests social projection serves an individual's need for interpersonal connection. Support for the cognitive approach comes from studies indicating that evaluations of in-groups based on self-perception, social projection, were significantly quicker than the reverse, particularly when the reference point was well-defined. This points to social projection as an efficient process used in unclear group-based situations. Implicit association tests provide further evidence, showing an automatic process in ascribing personal traits to targeted groups. Overall, the science of social projection is complex and multifaceted, likely influenced by various social and cognitive factors. While much is understood, further research is vital to comprehend fully this intricate aspect of human behavior. Motivational theories posit that the act of projection arises from our desire to be perceived positively and create bonds with our peers. This is witnessed in minimal group paradigm studies, where projection tends to highlight positive differentiations between one's group and others. Indeed, research has shown that positive in-group evaluations and projection tends to foster increased favoritism towards group members. Notably, the prevalence of social projection spikes when there's a heightened awareness of mortality, underlying its role in establishing interpersonal relationships. The influence of the emotional significance on social projection mechanisms suggests a necessity for individuals to solidify connections through positive attributions. Furthermore, research probing attachment styles has found that a person's relational model significantly influences the qualities they project onto others, leading to the conclusion that social connections contribute to the process of social projection. The mercurial element of social projection has led some to claim that it is indeed a phenomenological entity. In a research case examining cooperation and social projection, it was found that trait projection occurred only when the trait was deemed beneficial to the collaborative task. While high impacts of social projection have been noticed in laboratory tests, they are decidedly lower in real-world group situations consequently. Some theories propose that self-stereotyping might be responsible for this variance. Given this plethora of perspectives, contemporary research is dedicated to understanding when and how self-stereotyping and social projection shape our beliefs about others. In the cognitive perspective, it has been shown that the speed at which self-group evaluations take place is evidence that social projection is a more subconscious process than self-stereotyping. Other theorists look at the different situational factors leading to either social projection or self-stereotyping. For instance, a study has indicated that perceived similarity affects the use of social projection in gaining information about another person or group. The higher the perceived similarity, the more we rely on social projection rather than on stereotypes while evaluating others. It has been suggested that self-stereotyping and social projection are linked mechanisms. What we believe about ourselves influences what we project onto others, and what we believe about our group influences our self-beliefs. In sum, scholars opine that the dependence on either social projection or self-stereotyping evolves with personal development.